Hi, so here to start the June vlogs. Currently June 6th, have not done that, so let's catch up. Actually, the first couple of days of June, I was finishing The Ragpicker King, the second book after Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. Absolutely loved it. And I then picked up The Day of the Jackal by Frederick Forsyth. And this one I picked, actually Matt picked for me, so I read this one because one of the prompts for Amy and Kem's TBR game on Team Centaurs, one of our prompts was to have someone pick a book for you. And again, I didn't get any footage of it, but you'll just have to trust me. Matt went to his shelves and picked this out for me. This is an assassin story, written in the early 70s by a dude, so we'll get back to that. But this is an assassin story where someone is hired to kill the French president, Charles de Gaulle. And there's an organization who doesn't support his presidency for reasons and kind of how he handled the situation in Algeria. And so they have hired, there have been multiple assassination attempts that were unsuccessful. They hire someone, a professional, to kill the president. So you're following this organization and some people in this organization and them hiring this person, and then him planning and going through his planning process. You're following the police investigation into what's going on. This was super entertaining. This was really, really entertaining, and I had so much fun with this one. I wasn't sure what I would think of it, and the writing style is definitely older, very formal, and so you need to kind of get used to that. But I was so intrigued, and just kind of the cat and mouse game of what's going on here was just super entertaining. Again, written by a dude in the 70s, so there are going to be some things in here that would not get published today. There's a character referred to as fat and gross. The women are basically there to be sex objects. Anyway, but the assassination plotline was very intriguing and definitely had me hooked. So if that's something you're looking for, I don't know, maybe give this one a go. I am now halfway through A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the follow-up to The Tainted Cup. And The Tainted Cup was its own mystery. This is going to be a different mystery, but you're following the same main characters. You're following Den, and Den is just such a lovable character and such a great anchor for the story. And he is back investigating with Anna, and they are in a different place, kind of farther out, actually an area that technically isn't even part of the Empire, but could soon be part of the Empire. And there's a treasury, someone who works for the treasury who was there for their work and to kind of get things ready for this area to potentially become part of the Empire. Anyway, this treasury worker is killed under very weird circumstances. So Den and Anna are called out to investigate. Super fun, super intriguing. Definitely the same vibe as the first one in terms of just the world building. It's just interesting and different, and similar situation with just things growing. If you read the first one, you know what I'm talking about. And the Leviathans aren't actually out in this area, so we're less following that storyline, but there's some interesting politics going on here. Again, I love Den. Anna's a super interesting character to follow as well. So I'm having a grand time being back in that world. I thought it could also be interesting to see how this goes. So in my video where I was playing my game to figure out what I would read this month, I landed on The Crash Spot twice, and I said that I would figure it out in my vlogs. So I think what I'm gonna do, I have created a spinner wheel with my TBR, like all of the physical books that I've got kind of over here where I keep all the books I need to read. I just made a huge spinner wheel with just about everything. So, there are series here where I just have the series covering one entry, things like that. There are a couple of things I left off, but for the most part, this is everything I've got right here. And I figured the appropriate thing to do would just be to put it all on a wheel, give it a spin, and see what happens. I feel like that could be a fun way to deal with the crash spot. So let's just see what the wheel decides. So let's just go ahead, give her a spin, and see what happens. See if it'll focus. Ooh, the Powerless series. Okay, I'm not mad about that. So I'll start the Powerless series this month. That's fun. And I, again, landed on it twice. So I'll just say that I'm done with that one, and we'll give it one more spin. Let's see if it'll be nice and give me a summer book. I'm really hoping for a summer book to come up, but we'll see. Ooh, Magpie Murders. Interesting. Okay, cool. I'm not mad about either of those. I mean, of course, I have the books because I'm interested in reading them, so, you know, I shouldn't be mad about it. But okay, so Powerless series and Magpie Murders going on the list for this month. And yeah, I'll incorporate those somewhere. It might not be in this vlog in particular, but, you know, well, maybe I'll include those in here just so that I don't need to put this footage in a different vlog to show that spinner wheel footage again. Anyway, so yeah, I will check back in once I've read more of / finished A Drop of Corruption. We have a friend coming over this weekend, so I don't know how much reading / checking in I'll be able to do over the next couple of days, but hopefully I'll be able to finish A Drop of Corruption, see what I feel like reading next, and we'll go from there. So a couple of days later, I have finished A Drop of Corruption. Absolutely love this. I think if you liked the first one, I do really think you'll like this one as well. Again, a different mystery, and I kind of appreciate that it's a different mystery that's wrapped up, but there are still threads and ties that go between the books that I really appreciate. I enjoyed the politics and the mystery in this one. Of course, Den is just such an endearing main character, and I love his dynamic with Anna, and just how fun of a character she is to follow. And yeah, just the world is super interesting and unique. I had a grand time with this one. And I did the spins, I think, in the last clip. I do think I'll just go ahead and start Powerless, start that journey, and, you know, kind of move that to be my next read, and then I'll get to Goliath, Magpie Murders, and Immortal, and then do kind of the fantasy books that center gods vlog after that, and then get into summer reads. I am very excited to get into summer reads, and I kind of want to get into those soon as it starts to warm up. Just really in the mood to start some summer reads soon. So I will try to get these going at a good pace, and be able to hopefully get everything finished. And I know it was an intense TBR, but hopefully I'll be able to get everything finished. But I think I will put those next few books into this vlog, have the God vlog be a separate one, and then have a separate vlog to start summer reading. It's 3 p.m. I've been meaning to get a good start on this and just haven't been able to. Our friend left earlier today, and then yeah, I've just been getting some stuff done on the computer and not really in the mental zone to be able to pick up a book. So, you know, anyway, but I do hope I'll be able to get some of this read today and a good chunk of it read tomorrow as well. I do have off, so between today and tomorrow, a few things that I want to get done. And yeah, we'll see how that goes, but I should be able to get some good reading time in as well. So I'll check in once I've started Powerless and kind of have a good sense of what's going on and some initial thoughts. So it is the next day. I realized that I meant to check in today and haven't yet. but fortunately I remembered. So we're going to do a quick check-in about halfway through Powerless, having a really good time with this one. And this one we're following Peyton. I think quite a few people know what this one's about, but we're following Peyton, and she lives in a world where people are supposed to have magical abilities. There was some sort of plague a while ago that gave people magical abilities, and over time people without those abilities were ostracized, targeted, and so she's supposed to have some sort of magical ability, but she doesn't. She has survived by passing herself off as a psychic and just trying to fly under the radar, and has trained herself to be really observant about people in order to make predictions about what's going on in their life, or try to pass herself off again as a psychic in order to pretend that she has that as a magical ability, even if it's a minor one. And so she's trained herself to do this to be able to get by. And it's basically just her and a friend of hers who are kind of surviving together. She steals in order to help put food on the table, and she also steals fabrics for her friend who sews. So her friend will sew and sell her garments, and then Peyton will just steal whatever else they need. And so they kind of have the system going. One day, she accidentally kind of comes to the prince's rescue, and she has trained herself to be a fighter, just has trained herself to be able to kind of defend herself and get by in the very poor part of this world. And so she comes to the prince's aid at one point and kind of draws attention to herself. And it's unlucky timing because there's a set of trials that happens to remember this plague that happened and kind of the purging of people without magic. There's a set of trials to honor and commemorate that, and it's kind of a little weird, but and so mostly it's kind of elites that are part of this trial, but there are some others who are picked to be part of this trial as well. And so of course her name is on the list to be part of this trial, which of course she doesn't want because, well, one, she doesn't have any sort of magical ability. She doesn't have a way to kind of get out of this. And two, these trials are very deadly, and so she doesn't want the attention drawn to herself. And she doesn't even have the ability to kind of help herself survive these trials. And so, she goes to the palace, is training for a while, starting to undergo these trials. Anyway, so that's kind of the basic setup here. I don't want to say much more than that. But I do love the kind of fish out of water in the palace scenario. That's always really fun for me. So definitely having a good time with that. I'm enjoying the banter here. And overall, it's just been fun, entertaining, and has my attention. So having a good time. And yeah, I might finish this maybe tomorrow. We'll see. And then I think I'm going to move on to, I think Magpie Murders might actually be next. I think I'm going to slot in the 2 spinner wheel reads back to back and just throw them in there. And then, yeah, keep going with Goliath and Immortal. Anyway, so we'll see when I can next check in. I might be far into or maybe even done with Magpie Murders, but we'll see what can happen. So here to check in. When I last checked in, I was halfway through Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and not much more to say about the plot. I think I've said as much about the plot as I want to in the last clip, but want to go ahead and wrap up some final thoughts. Was this the greatest thing ever written? No. Was it very predictable? Yes. Did I have a lot of fun with it and fall on the hype train? Also, yes. Just a lot of fun. I'm intrigued to see where things go. Again, it was very predictable, but I'm excited to continue the rest of the series, which is good because I got the Fairy Loot editions. And so, yeah, again, excited to continue on and see what happens. I've heard good things about the second one, so, excited to give it a go. And I wasn't able to check in while reading Magpie Murders during the week. There were a lot of happy hours saying farewell to folks at EPA who were leaving, including myself. And so it's been a crazy week, but in that process, I did read Magpie Murders. So let's talk about this one. This is by Anthony Horowitz, and we're following a book within a book with this one. So if you like that, could be one to check out. And we're following a book editor. So the first little bit of it is the book editor, and we're following her kind of sitting down to read the latest manuscript from her small publishing house's most popular author. He's written a series of very well-known whodunits, kind of Agatha Christie style, following Detective Pounce. And so, we open with her sitting down to read the latest manuscript, and we get a narrator for her, and then we get a separate narrator for the manuscript that she's actually editing. So we do actually get to follow the manuscript that she's reading and, have a different narrator for that. We're going through the story. We read the full, we're like reading the story, you know what I mean? And she then the editor is then kind of the narrator of the rest of the story. And she finds it kind of weird because the last bit of the manuscript seems to be missing. Like, it's not there. So she's trying to figure out what's going on there. She also finds out that the author, after submitting this manuscript, has since died. And it's an apparent case of suicide. And anyway, so she's trying to figure out what's going on, where are the missing pieces of the book so that hopefully they can still publish it and, figure out what's going on. She then is starting to see some parallels between the story, and this is why it was important for us to get that story. She's starting to notice some parallels between some things in the story and some things about this author's death, and she's starting to wonder if that was actually how he died or what the actual circumstances of his death were. And so she's starting to talk to people, starting to try to figure out what's going on, try to pick up some pieces of information, and again, talking to people, looking into some things to figure out what was going on, and kind of gets wrapped up in this whole mystery about how the author died and kind of some things about the entire series that she's starting to put together that kind of spell some things out and add to the intrigue here. Anyway, I was very intrigued. I not only enjoyed the story, the manuscript that she was editing, I was having a fun time following that and following Detective Pounce, interviewing people, trying to figure out pieces of information. In that story, we're following someone who is a cleaner at this big house, and so we're following her. It's at first her mysterious death, and then someone else ends up dying. Anyway, so we're following a couple of different deaths here that are tied together, and so I was intrigued by that story, and then I was also intrigued by the story of the editor picking up the threads and figuring out what was going on with this author's death. Would highly recommend. I thought it was a lot of fun. So if that sounds like something up your alley, would recommend. So I've now started, I'm just a little bit into Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. And in this one, we're following Lien. And anyway, so I'm not too far, not too many thoughts. I'll tell you about the very beginning of it. But Lien's grandfather is supposed to, so he has this kind of a magical flower petal, I think. And I'm pretty sure it's a flower petal. Anyway, so he has this. He's supposed to be giving it to one of the immortals, one of the gods, and instead uses it to protect his granddaughter when his granddaughter is poisoned. And so he faces the wrath of the immortals after he loses this important piece of magic that she had wanted and that he was going to track down for her. And so, anyway, her grandfather ends up passing away as he's trying to kind of say what happened to these immortals. He tells her to flee, and so she's in the process of doing that. And anyway, and then as she's fleeing, she comes across another immortal, the god of war. And so he's essentially brings her to his palace to protect her, because of some circumstances. They're attacked, and anyway. So, and he knows that her grandfather has passed away, so kind of the running of the kingdom is going to be left to her. Anyway, so there's a lot of reasons that she's vulnerable right now, and he's wanting to protect her, so he brings her back to his palace. And that's kind of where we are, and they're starting to get to know each other. And one needs to hide information about what happened with this magical petal, so she needs to hide that information, but she's also trying to seek other information. She wants to basically end the immortal rule over her kingdom. So her kingdom kind of follows these immortals, and in exchange they're supposed to receive protection, but the immortals, the gods, have kind of been capricious and unjust and fickle and just not really something that these people can rely on in terms of protection. And so, but they're also very powerful, and so it's hard to try to end that relationship. Anyway, so her goal is to basically free her kingdom from the rule of the immortals, and to not really be at their whim anymore. And anyway, I'm intrigued. I love Sue Lin Tan's writing. It's just lyrical and fun, and I always end up adoring her characters, and so far this is the case. Again, we're pretty early, but I'm enjoying this so far, and fully expected to, again, tied to her Daughter of the Moon Goddess world, but I believe this is supposed to be a standalone in that world. Anyway, so I will have more time to check in now. So I'll check in once I'm further in Immortal, and we'll see how things go. I think the plan is to finish Immortal and then turn to Where'd You Go, Bernadette, and then Goliath, and then we'll wrap up this vlog, and then I'll do my gods vlog with a few fairy loot books centered around gods. And who knows, maybe I actually should have included this one in that book. So, whatever. Missed opportunity, but I'm reading it now anyway. So, anyway, or maybe I could just cut this clip out and put this as the intro to a gods vlog, but I'll just leave it in here. It's fine. So I'll check in once I've read more of this, and then, yeah, a couple more, and then we'll wrap this vlog up, do one more vlog, and then we'll start the summer vlogs. Anyway, all right, so I will check in later. So it is now Tuesday. I have finished Immortal by Sue Lin Tan. I adored this, no surprise there. I love her writing, I love her characters. This is definitely just mythology, fairy tale style writing that she just does so well. There's just something about her writing, the way she writes the dynamics between her characters, that I just absolutely love. And it's a good mix of this kind of yearning between these characters and, fate and the gods being brought in, and just various plot elements happening that are just fun. And again, our main character was given this lotus to heal her. She needs to kind of hide that she was given this because her grandfather was supposed to give it to one of the immortals. And so it's her journey dealing with the immortals and getting involved in involved in their conflicts and figuring out more about who she is and where she fits into the mortal and immortal world. And I don't know, again, I just love her writing and just the dynamic between our two main characters here. And loved it. And I have since started Where'd You Go, Bernadette? This is by Maria Semple, and I think I'm a little bit farther than this, but probably a third-ish, maybe a little more of the way through. This one's been all right, been fun so far. We're following. It's actually mixed media, so we're following Bernadette, of course, and her family, but we're also following situations around her as well. So we're following her former career as an architect. There's a little bit of history there. We're following her as a mother to her daughter and trying to manage relationships with all of the other school moms in the area. And so we're also following her relationship in particular with one of her neighbors and what's going on there. We're following what's going on between her and her husband getting concerned about her. And and you can kind of tell. So it's actually told in a mixed media type format. There are emails and interludes from her daughter and, different things here and there to kind of tell the story. And her daughter received the grades that she was supposed to be given a reward. Her parents had told her that they would, give her a reward of her choosing if she got certain grades. And she did. She's an exemplary student, and her teachers absolutely love her daughter. And so her daughter wants to go on a family trip to Antarctica. And so Bernadette's also trying to help coordinate this. And, she doesn't want to go necessarily. She doesn't really like being around people. And she's also concerned about how she'll feel on the actual trip there, like seasickness, and how she's going to feel getting from, the Argentina coast to Antarctica and kind of the waters in between there. And so, it's just a lot of funny things happening that are involved in this planning process, or that she has done before, that her husband is kind of interpreting and getting concerned about. And so you can kind of, what's going on from her perspective, but you can also see why he's concerned. And sometimes following her perspective too, you kind of wonder who's right about certain situations or what actually happened, which is kind of funny. So I've been having a good time with this so far. I need to clean the bathroom, so I'm going to continue listening to that, and I should get a decent amount done while cleaning the bathroom, because that always takes a decent amount of time. But gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm gonna keep listening to this while doing that, and hopefully we'll get a good chunk further while doing that. And we'll be able to check in later. So it is the next morning. I have finished Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple, and this one was okay for me. The intrigue didn't end up really being there for me for a good portion of this. It seemed to just really be a lot of drama between members of this community, and you're in their heads for parts of it, or really getting to see what they're thinking. And people are just extremely judgmental in this. Like, it's just drama and pettiness between extremely judgmental people, and which usually doesn't, that doesn't do it for me. I don't care about that. And so there were quite a bit of this where I was just like, okay, I'm not intrigued by this. Like, I don't care. Let's move on. I never felt like DNFing it though. And there definitely were portions of it that were interesting, or certain plot lines that were interesting. And it was interesting to get to see Bernadette's perspective and other people around her, particularly her husband, trying to interpret certain actions of hers and kind of the commentary on how women doing those things in particular can be either misinterpreted or judged more harshly. And those kinds of conversations I think were interesting. So there were definitely parts I was interested in, but I didn't care about the community drama and people being judgmental. I don't know. I'll probably never really think too much about this again. So I will return that to the library. And I then did pick up Goliath by Tochi Onyebuchi. I'm about 50 pages in to this one, and unfortunately not intrigued by anything that's happened in the first 50 pages. I feel bad saying that. I don't know. I just haven't really been interested in anything that's going on in the first 50 pages. So I'll give it a little bit more. I'll read a little bit more of this today, but don't be surprised if I come back later and just say that I decided not to finish this book. I don't know. Like, the overall idea is cool that, it's the 2050s. We've spread to other areas of the solar system, or started to get off of Earth, but really that's kind of for the rich, and the people who are left on Earth are kind of the forgotten and not really in a great situation. So I feel like there's a lot of interesting stuff to play with here, but I just haven't been interested in anything so far. So, we'll see. As I said, I'll give it a little bit more and then make a decision about whether I want to keep going. So, anyway, I'm going to head out. I need to get out of the house, and it's been raining a lot, and it still will be raining quite a bit today. So I think I'm actually going to walk around the mall, mostly to get some steps in. There used to be a Barnes & Noble in this mall. It closed and is opening back up. It's in a different place in the mall. They're opening up today, so they're kind of having a opening, situation going on at the store. So I might stop by. And then I also do want to go to Bath & Body Works because their semi-annual sale is going on. And that's really when I stock up on Bath & Body Works stuff, is when it's on sale, because otherwise it is very expensive. So, a couple of places that I want to stop by, mostly just, as I said, get some steps in. Normally I would just walk in the forest around here, but as I said, it's been really rainy and gloomy and will probably continue to be today. So we're going to do that, and I'll listen to a bit more of this while doing that, and then make a decision about whether I want to keep going or not. So I have decided to DNF Goliath. I did continue listening in the car, a little bit at the mall, and I just have not been interested in anything happening so far, as I mentioned. So we're gonna call it good on that one, which means we're gonna call it on this vlog as well. But before that, I did mention that I was gonna stop by, or potentially stop by, the Barnes & Noble opening. So of course I did, and I picked up What Happened in Amsterdam, because this is just too cute and sounds like so much fun. I also saw Battle of the Bookstores, and I mean, I had to get it. I did also pick up, the last thing I picked up was The Otherwhere Post. This is by Emily J. Taylor. I actually read her debut, Hotel Magnifique, and really enjoyed it. Just deliciously dark, fun, and I'm hoping that this will be the same. So I'm saving this for spooky season, but I did want to go ahead and pick it up. So this is a judgment-free zone, right? Judgment-free zone. But in case you were curious, that is what I picked up when I was at the Barnes & Noble reopening today. Anyway, thank you so much for watching what I'm sure is going to be a long vlog with a lot of books discussed. But yeah, as I said, I'm going to cut it off here and then go ahead and start the Fairy Loot books that are about gods vlog. just because I have a few, and I don't know, whatever, seems like a nice theme for a vlog. So I'm gonna start that one and start with probably the God and the Gamiho next. So look forward to that. I should actually be able to edit this relatively quickly. I need to get up my final, or was it my only May vlog? So I need to get that up first, but then actually this should be able to go up before too long since I have time to edit. So yeah, so we'll get this up and then start on that God's vlog. And yeah, again, thank you so much for joining me. Subscribe for more bookish content, and if you want to see more vlogs. And then after that, I'll start my summer bonanza and read all of the summer romances and fantasies, and it's going to be great. So I'll be sure to link my Instagram down below. Haven't quite revived it yet, but it's on the list of things to do now that I have some more time, so I'm going to do that. I'll also link more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.